Clementi, everybody. You need to step away from those tables now.
Assume your position.
And come join us as we start our service. There will be plenty of time for shopping later.
Hey, we're starting over here.
We'd like you to join us on our first sing-along song, so come on away from all those lovely temptations and join us on Holy, Holy Way. Please stand and join our fabulous song leaders here.
So we thank you for bringing into our atmosphere of worship the gift of your presence here this morning. I know that from the music and the message and the fellowship with each other that there's something special waiting for you. So let's get started this morning when we do our reading of the Flames of Faith. This is a call to service. we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and the experience, which we honor here today. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of compliance and the will of God as the highest calling. We light the candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And as practitioner Hans Smith lights the last candle, let it represent the path that brought you here this morning. And won't you join me now in prayer? In this sacred moment of now, in this precious time of prayer, I recognize that with God, all things are possible. All things. And I recognize without God that there is nothing. And so I enter into that place of spaciousness, knowing that God moves and breathes and has its being in all things. It is in this word, it is in this space, it is in the heart of each one of us. And so what I know in this season of love is that there is so much to be grateful for, so much to be deeply, deeply grateful for. For this beautiful center, this harbor of safety for us, this place of friendship, this place of service and giving and love, this place that illuminates our minds and brings us clearer to what the truth is. And it circles right back around that God is love, and love lives within each one of our hearts. And so I know as the word is spoken that this love expands and that this room becomes illuminated in that gift that God brings us. And with an open heart and an open mind, I gratefully say thank you. These two beautiful words, giving thanks for the life that we have been given. And as I release this word, I know that more love and more light floods in. And together, let us celebrate this by acknowledging this prayer and anchoring it. And so it is. And I'd like to invite Reverend Arpad to come up with our morning affirmation.
We're going to start with the declaration of principles, but when we say it with passion. Say it that you mean it. Say it with intensity. They're not just words. Okay, here we go. I believe in God, the one creative intelligence, operating through the universe and operating throughout my entire being, now and always. I believe this perfect spirit operates upon the law of mind and creates my experience exactly according to my belief. I believe this perfect creative intelligence can be used by me and by every other person to produce health, abundance, and love in mind, body, and total life experience. I use it now, and I rejoice in it. And so it is, and so it is, and rejoice in it and be it. And our morning affirmation is this: I celebrate the return of the light in my life every day with joy. And so it is.
Yes. And please welcome our soloist this morning, Kelly Corsino.
Lights of green, red, blue, and white, strung through the neighborhood. Oh, what a sight! Tootsie Roll trains and toy planes in flight. The eyes of a child in wonder. Stop, look, it's a beautiful night. That same star shines so bright. A lifetime of memories as we hold hands tight. Right here and now, it's a wonderful life. Gray hairs and smiles, we keep rolling on. Some of us here, some of us gone. The children of children learn the same songs, singing together we wonder. Stop, look, it's a beautiful night. That same star shines so bright. A lifetime of memories as we hold hands tight. Right here and now, it's a wonderful life. Loved ones and friends gather again. The songs sung together in love. Stop, breathe. It's a beautiful sight. And that same star shines. It's shining so bright. A lifetime of memories as we hold hands tight. Right here and now. Right here and now. Right here and now. It's a wonderful life.
Indeed, it is a wonderful day, a wonderful night, a wonderful time of year. It's so exciting that we have so many wonderful things going on today. And my message this morning is Signs of Mind of the Solstice. You know, this is reflecting the light of the holy days. And there are many holy days. And yes, the solstice isn't until the 22nd this year. It's normally around the 21st. But still, it is what we have, and why we have it today, as you'll see as I get into the message. So, Joseph Campbell, this wonderful, wonderful thinker, wrote this little book called Thou Art That. And really, it's a compilation of many of his books. And what he was doing is he was pointing out the themes throughout all religions. Throughout all religions, the symbols that have been used by each and every one, and I don't know if you know how much Christianity and Christmas particularly has borrowed from the solstice, but I'm going to share with you. But first, Joseph's quote, he says, "The motif of birth in a cave is also very ancient. This symbol is associated particularly with the winter solstice, when the sun has traveled to the furthest point away from the tilted earth, and the light is in the middle of the abyss. That is the date of the birth of the god Mithra, who is Lord of Light. He was born, we recall that his mother is the earth, holding a rock-hewn wagon, a rock-hewn weapon in his hand. Mithra didn't have a wagon, he had a weapon. Exactly, I saw wagons coming in this morning in the goods to be sold. Anyway, back to Mithra. Mithra was the principal competitor with Christianity in the period of the first 3 centuries. The cave has always been the scene of the initiation, where the birth of the light takes place. Here, as well, is found the whole idea of the cave of the heart, the dark chamber of the heart, where the light of the divine first appears. The image is also associated with the emergence of light in the beginning and out of the abyss of the early chaos, so that one senses the deep resonations of the theme. So one senses the deep resonations of this theme of light. In the Signs of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes uses the word light 51 different times, 51 different places in the textbook. I'm not going to read you all those, but I'm going to read at least his definition of light. And as you know, oftentimes that's quite broadly stated. It isn't like going to the dictionary where you are expecting a definition to be a certain way. This is what Ernest says about light. In flashes of illumination, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality and have brought back with them a distinct impression of what they have seen and felt. A glimpse of this reality, that has a capital R, meaning that's one of his words for God, illumines the whole being with a flood of light. Every mystic has had this experience. Jesus was the greatest of all mystics, and once, at least, after a period of illumination, his face was so bright his followers could not look upon it in moments of deepest realization. The great mystics have sensed that one life flows through all, and that all are some part of this life. They have also seen substance of fine, white, brilliant stuff, forever falling into everything, a substance indestructible and eternal. At times, the realization has been so complete that they have been actually blinded by this light. Light was the first great revelation of the divine creative energy that called all living beings, all living things into being. Let there be light, and there was light. There is a healing light in the rays of the sun, which we term a physical light. There's a healing power in the wonderful high-powered lamps. but how much greater is the healing power which Jesus recognized in himself and in others. I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have light of life. He was talking about us, all beings are the light of the world, not one. And the whole point of any of these stories, the Christmas story, this whole story of Solstice, is that this is our story. This is our story, not some distant, far off something, but right here and now, it's our story. And I'm going to tell you a story that was often told on the solstice, or could have been. It might be more modern story. But as the story begins, this was a tradition in this family. The grandmother had told this story, and then the mother had told the story, and now this person, who is also a mother, is telling the story. And it was always told on the darkest day, so the shortest day on the solstice, always told on the solstice, with a blazing fire behind it, to remind everyone of the of light and of the warmth that it represents. So there was a time, once upon a time, the entire world, the entire planet, was filled with light. And then darkness started coming into the planet. And it didn't come all at once. It came and wrapped its tentacles around various bits and would be in certain places, but still there was light. And still, even though there was some darkness, people claimed they could still see the same as if it was perfect light. There were many people that knew that there was more light that could be had. They reminded themselves in books or in music, but still they missed the light. One woman in particular realized that she could no longer really see the light in her children. And so she decided to set off and negotiate with the source of light to return so that everyone could be blessed by it. So, of course, it's a story. It was cold, it was winter, it was dark, and she bundled up and started on her journey. The first village she came to, she was so surprised to see it was in chaos. People weren't listening to one another. They seemed to be searching for something, and they were leaving things in a great mess wherever they went. Sounds like my house. At this time of year, maybe other times as well. Anyway, they were leaving a mess. The trees were upturned. The livestock hadn't been cared for. It looked like the animals hadn't been tended. And so she called out to someone, what's going on here? What's happening in your village? And no one could even hear her. They wouldn't listen to her. They couldn't answer a question. Finally, someone stopped long enough to say, we've been told that there's a great amount of gold hidden in this village. And so we're all looking for the gold. And that was all he could say, because then he was off again looking for the gold. And so she came to the village square, which was, of course, was the only place. There was nothing happening. There was a tree there with no leaves on it. It was a barren tree. And she sat under the tree. And as she was sitting, she realized there was something gold emitting from the root of the tree. And she looked carefully, and she saw there's this wonderful carved chest there. And it was overflowing with golden coins. It's right in the middle of town, but no one has seen it. So she had noticed a young man was building a house, and he seemed to be less frantic than the rest of the villagers. So she decided to see if he could see the golden coins. She called over to him, and he couldn't see it either, but he was curious. He asked her to describe what they looked like. So she did, and he used his imagination to see them. And once he could see them, he started collecting them. They didn't belong to her. This is not her mission. She was going for the source of light, not for prosperity. But she did help this young man, and she said, once you have the gold, give it to the other villagers so that they can repair their homes and that they'll have fine homes to live in again. And she set off again on her journey. She went a little further, and it was getting to be night, and again she stopped under a tree, and she settled for the night under this tree and wrapped her cloak around her. And she had a vivid dream. She dreamed that the moon descended into the earth right there at the tree root, and that she, in her dream, went to that root and dug out, found this wonderful, large crystal, and how fascinating this crystal was. And then all of the villagers came with their pickaxes, and they all chopped at this crystal, trying to get some, until there was nothing left. And it disturbed her so much that she ended up crying herself awake from that dream. But she remembered the dream, and she thought maybe she saw something emitting from the root of that tree. And she did. She saw a stone. And she didn't know what she should do with the stone, but she heard a voice say, "Take me, come in, take me, come in." She said, "Come in where?" And obviously, the stone meant into the stone. So she touched the stone, and with the touch, she was now in another world completely. And in this world, it was dark, but it wasn't cold and scary. It was warm. And she could see all of the seeds that were, and bulbs that were ready to blossom with the warmth and with the moisture. And then she saw all of the underground streams and rivers and veins of gold and silver and copper. It was so beautiful. It was like looking at a sunrise or a sunset. It was just completely beautiful. And she kept walking in this land, and she came to a cave. And in the cave, there was a great light. And there at the end of the cave was something, a cradle. She went to the cradle and saw there was a child, a golden child emitting light. And she hears the child say, "I'm so glad you finally came for me. I'm so glad you finally came for me." So she scoops up the child, and like any mother, holds the child to her breast, shelters the child with her cloak, and begins walking back home. Now, the story didn't say how she got from that world back to the world, but she did. She got back to the world, she's walking, and as she's walking, she notices the village that she had been in that had been so frantic. Now there's a light snow that has fallen on it, and it's calm and peaceful and beautiful. That chaos has stopped, and there is a light coming through from this child, and it's coming not just in front of her, but preceding her, this huge light. And not only is it attractive to her but the small animals are gathered and started to follow. And the winged things are starting to follow. So we have the birds and the bunnies and all of the animals following. And then the human beings start following because they're attracted to the light. And she finally gets to her home to show her children what she has found. And as she does so, she realizes that there's this baby is no longer. Somewhere on her journey, that source of light has been able to vanish because it wasn't so important as was the idea of bringing the light back into the world. And so ends the story. That's the Solstice story. And what does it have to do with science of mind? Everything. It has everything to do with science of mind, because not only at this time of year, but there are times when we get stuck in the darkness and we forget even that the light is always available and we access it within ourselves. And some of you may be going through something right this very minute that is that darkness. And if so, this story is your story. And it could be because something is occurring for someone you love, and it's really difficult to watch this. It could be that you yourself have lost something of great value. Your job, your home, your money. It could be that you're on the outs with a friend that's been very special to you, very significant person. And what this story is really about is remembering that you can change that around. But one of the things is, first of all, acknowledge that right now it's dark. And spend a little time in the darkness so you can release whatever it is. Don't just rush through it. Don't just rush immediately to the affirmations, but you will get there because we do believe in truth. But in the moment that you're hurting, allow yourself, tell yourself the truth. This is going on for me right now. And it's not the truth of my being, but it's my experience. So this is the first time I can ever remember wearing low heels on the platform. Yeah. And this is the first time I've worn boots with a dress. But I did it because this last week was the first time in my aerobics class that I decided to make it a tumbling class. and had the experience of falling onto my knees, my arms, so I had bruised knees, I had shoulders that were out of joint, and a twisted ankle. It was the twisted ankle I was most concerned about. I thought it might have been broken, but it wasn't. And so I've been wearing boots for the stability. And I didn't need to tell you that. I didn't need to tell you because you might just think, oh, it's a cold day, boots are a good thing to wear. And they are. But I'm telling you because I didn't consciously choose to tumble. It wasn't like, okay, I'm going to make this class today into not a step aerobics class, but a tumbling class. What word am I trying to think of? Olympic, gymnastics kind of thing. So I'm doing the bar work or something like that, or the floor work, because it happened to be, I was really doing the floor work. So a different meeting that they had. The fact is that at times we do encounter things. Our project can fall on the floor, for instance. We could burn ourselves. There's so many things that can happen. It's not the plan, but here's the thing about using the science of mind. No matter what occurs, we have a choice of how we perceive it. And first of all, I encourage everyone to extract the good. Find out where that good is hidden. Today we were attempting to do that because it had been misting and raining, and then the sun came out. Laura said, there's going to be a rainbow somewhere. Rick and Karen learned a song for me and a while back, a few months ago. It's a country song, and it's really done in a very country way, but the lyrics are sensational. It's called, There's Always a Rainbow Over Your Head. Come out of the storm, it's already stopped. There's already a rainbow over your head. And that is the other thing that we should take note of. Are we so comfortable in this thing that occurred that we've forgotten that we're blessed, that we have a rainbow hanging over our head, that we have resources, emotional, spiritual resources to handle anything and everything? We've been going through some things here at the center, and I want to give a shout out to a few people this morning, starting with Reverend Karen Allen, who's our bookkeeper. And some of you who have small businesses are already dealing with this law, this California law, but if you don't have a small, there's a new law that says that for most of small businesses, including the churches, we now have to make every person we pay an employee. We can't have them as an independent contractor, which means a huge amount of paperwork for our bookkeeper, which she's already done because it's Karen. Yay. But it's also means that there will be a little bit less money actually going to the people who've been receiving money, and the church has to contribute a little money that we haven't been contributing, because now the employees have to have all of the benefits of being an employee. It affects people. I had a conversation with Kelly first thing, and it's very easy for me to get into deep resistance about this and to say, well, that's just wrong. Well, it may be just wrong, but right now it just is. It just is. So we deal with it, we handle it, we do the best we can with it. And if that means, if that means that we have to petition to have our business be an exception, then we do that. If it means that we have to change the laws that were just changed, then we get on board and do that. What it doesn't mean is that we just can just be victims and go, oh, it's awful. That isn't who we are. That isn't who we are. It isn't why we're here. We're here to make a difference and to be this light that is unmistakable. This light for goodness, for greatness, for well-being and wholeness, to be it in every situation. And when we can't bring our own light, it's to help the other people around us. Because when we see the light in them, they shine ever more brightly. We're in this together. Today is the day. So, Solstice has influenced everything. First of all, the date of Christmas, the 25th of December, was in, I think, something like 324 AD. The Emperor Aurelius made it the solstice that year. And then 50 years later, the Christians, the Pope made it Christmas Day. And it's been Christmas Day ever since, as far as I know, December 25th. Second little point. Who can tell me the lyrics of, who besides Diane King Band can tell me the lyrics of Deck the Halls?
Deck the halls with boughs of holly.
Keep going. La 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 la. Then what? This is going to be great. Okay. Keep going to the next verse. Yes. Now, so Rick, what was that line? See the blazing Yule before us. That word Yule comes from the solstice. It comes from the pagan people who honored the change of the seasons. Strike the harp and join the chorus also came with all of the celebrations, because in order to bring the gladness of the light back, because on the day of the solstice, it starts getting a little lighter every day. Sing, dance, be merry, be joyful. And the decking the halls, everything here today, the light, the beautiful tree, all of it comes from symbols that are thousands of years old, way before Jesus was born. This has been a practice at this time of year. And it's good practice. It's great practice. I didn't, other than going to help pick out the tree, which, thank you, Hans did that for me and got me to the right place. I want to acknowledge the beauty of the decorations. And these decorations, you've seen them before, but not this way. The tree, the lights in the tree were put up by Michael Sibio, and then the tree itself was decorated, and the candles and the entrance by Karen Meyer. So acknowledge these people have made a huge difference here. That's what we do. And so in a way, it was a really good thing that my ankle was saying, no, you're not going to step on me today, so I could let go and let God show up as all of these wonderful people. Happy solstice on the 22nd. Happy day today. And so it is. And now we're going to pray. And this is what I know for certain. I know that there is only one power, one light, one presence. It is that thing itself that is all-knowing, that is the consciousness of the risen Christ, and it is also the consciousness of the return of the light. It is light itself, it is life itself, and it operates through a perfect, immaculate, orderly law. So in this holy moment of right now, I embrace this law. I embrace this truth, this beingness that is the presence. And from an awareness of my oneness with the one, I speak my powerful word. And this is what I know for certain. I know that it doesn't matter what happens to me, it's what I perceive that is so important. And so I tenaciously look for the good. I tenaciously stand on the bedrock of well-being. I tenaciously see God, not only in everyone, but I do that. I see that divine presence, that mind in each and every being. And I see that divine scheduler in all activities, in everything. Everything that I see, everything that has happened or could happen, all comes through the same action and activity. And so standing on this, I claim for myself and all others, I claim it in the first person. Wellness, well-being, a heart that is light and filled with optimism and truth, a body that is whole, complete, perfect, strong, youthful, flexible, vibrating with the inner light of God as wholeness. I speak this word for prosperity, that there is more than enough of everything, more than enough resources, more than enough time, more than enough energy. There is more than enough. I live in an abundant universe. And I claim for myself and each one here more good, more awareness. And I know that this one that is responding is love itself. It connects me with beings, with people, with my furry friends. It connects me heart to heart, being to being. And so I claim that love is natural, normal, and it's the healing power that reveals itself everywhere. And I know that this thing itself is creativity. It is that thing that just says, yes, yes. A little tuck and roll, a little change of routine. All of it is good and very good. And what a wonderful season we are having. So with my heart filled with gratitude, filled with gratefulness for all that is, for this center and for Ernest Holmes and the teaching of the science of mind. I give great thanks, and I simply release this word to the action of law. It is complete. And please help me anchor it by saying with me, and so it is. And now, Kelly Corsino.
That was just stunning. Thank you so much for that message, truly. So, I appreciate that message deeply because truly everything is holy. When I was a girl each week, on Sunday we would go to church, pay attention to the priest, and he would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread. Everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. When I was in Sunday school, oh, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two. Jesus made scripture verse made me wanna bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. Thank you for the band.
Thank you, Kelly. That's such a beautiful song. Really appreciate it. It's time now for us to share our gifts, our tithes, or our offerings. So if the stewards would come forward. There they come. Stewards come. And how we do this is we read our prosperity affirmation together, and then we take a few seconds just to be grateful for our lives, for whatever it is that we have to give, for all the things we're receiving, for this wonderful day, and the wonderful branch we're about to celebrate with, and all of these wonderful things to look at and buy. It's great. So let's read our prosperity affirmation together. My offering is my acceptance of God as the source of my supply, and symbolizes my faith in the abundant flow of this supply.
The stars have aligned for you in the sky. You are honored as you shine. You are held by Father Time. Every blade of grass, every shaking leaf on the tree, every mountain top sings of the glory of God moving through me. I am a child of this universe. Through my breath, all life can breathe. I plant the seeds with my every dream. I am loved in this universe. I am held by Mother Earth. We are the ones of this universe. Receive God in each face. We are the channel for peace to flow. We are filled with love divine. We are one with Father Time. Every blade of grass, every shaking leaf on the tree, every mountain sings of the glory of God moving through all. Moving as we are one great universe. All of us free, all of us free, all of us
Thank you, Diane. It's beautiful. I'd like to acknowledge the people that are in service today or have been in service. So if that's you, have been in service this week, please stand. So grateful for all that you did and all that you do. Then if the practitioners would remain standing, our practitioners are trained in the art of affirmative prayer. And if you want your life transformed, make an appointment to see one of these people. You'll be so happy you did. And today, are we actually having practitioners, or where are they going to be?
Good question. We'll figure that out.
Okay, the practitioners this morning are Hans Smith and Reverend Arpad Petros and Kay Allen. And we'll let you know, just look for them. And wherever they are, that's where the prayers will be. Let's acknowledge our practitioners. I'd like to acknowledge those of you who come every single Sunday for a moment. Today you got here, it was set up differently, and you had to do something very courageous. Sit in a new place. So let's give yourself a big hand, because it takes a very big heart to see a situation and work with it. Also, if anyone's here for the very first time, we have a gift for you. And all you need to do is acknowledge that by standing up or raising your hand. And there's some information about our center in that bag and a small gift. And now we're going to acknowledge you. So I'm going to say something and the congregation's going to repeat it after me, and this is all for you. Something wonderful is happening here today.
Something wonderful is happening here today.
It's this thing called you.
It's this thing called you.
We see the Spirit in you.
We see the Spirit in you.
And we acknowledge the goodness that you are.
And we acknowledge the goodness that you are.
Welcome home.
Welcome home.
And so it is. Do we have some announcements?
Indeed we do. But first, Diane has something to say.
Yes, next Sunday, the beautiful Jewel Tones Choir is doing special music for our service. So I invite you to come, bring friends, bring children, bring dogs, bring whoever you want to bring, because the music will start actually during prelude time. So at 10:20, right after meditation, we'll be starting with some extra music. That's it.
And now, trigger warning. Today's announcements contain acts of simulated violence. Anyone negatively affected by this should take appropriate precautions. No animals, human or otherwise, were harmed in the production of these announcements. There are tons of events going on around the center, but you have a lot of holiday preparations to take care of, so today we are going to demonstrate how to defend yourself against invitations to center functions. Conscious connection will not meet today, so you don't have to defend against that at least. Bow to the center. Bow to each other.
And today is our annual holiday boutique and brunch. Suppose someone invites you to stay after the service to enjoy a meal with your spiritual family and get some holiday shopping done. Oh, they'll tell you that there's vegetarian food available in the kitchen and that you can buy some unique gifts not found in stores while supporting your creative spiritual brothers and sisters, and you'll have a slap-happy good time. To defend yourself against this, merely ask, is it more like this? Or like this? They are sure to stop inviting you to anything in the future.
This Wednesday, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the monthly meeting of the Parent Forum. This group is for parents wanting to interact with their children in a more spiritually centered way. They will try to entice you by telling you that a light lunch and childcare is provided. Here's what to do when they offer to break bread with you. Parry any suggestion that you should see Lisa McClure for more information. Give them a disarming smile. Thank them for their invitation and suggest you will break bread another time.
Or let's say Reverend Arpad invites you to come see him at Wednesday's Wisdom this week. His topic is the power of grace. You should sidestep the invitation, then be firm but polite, and tell him, not at this time.
Sometimes a simple misdirect works better than a confrontation. If someone invites you to go next Sunday, December 15th at 12:30 to hear Jennifer Krieg's messages from Spirit and Group Healing, create a diversion by shouting, "Look, there's Elvis!" and make yourself scarce.
And sometimes people sneak up and surprise you out of the blue. You may have other plans next Sunday, December 22nd, but you get a last-minute invitation to see Michael Paul Smith's concert of Christmas music after the service. There's more than one way to sidestep this issue. This is presented on a love offering basis.
Sometimes the invitation is more formal. The center is having a Christmas Eve service with caroling at 4:30, a sing-along at 4:45, and the service at 5. Suppose they want you to help decorate the podium by filling out a form to buy poinsettias you can take home afterward. Be polite and take the form. You can either place your stamp of approval on the form or place your stamp of disapproval on the inviter.
Well, today we have these beautiful flowers from Mary Ann Lanou for her beloved husband Ray's birthday.
We hope that you have learned some useful tips for getting out of holiday invitations this year. But please remember, these are trained stunt people, so don't try this at home.
And now let's bring in the children.